On va continuer à éveiller un peu nos consciences, si vous êtes d'accord.
Moving on, we're still going to try to gain some enlightenment. I would like to thank Thierry and his team for helping us meet these public figures, these people who I'm sure make us feel much greater. I would like to encourage you to think about what the web is, what the digital economy is, through the story of Benita Matofska. She's from Britain. She's a social entrepreneur. She's fascinated by what she does, and she's very interested in the sharing economy. It's her little baby. She developed a platform to compare the sharing economy to the traditional economy. She launched the Global Sharing Week, and so it is an actual global sharing week. She received several awards during different events around the world, and I would now like to introduce you to Benita Matofska. Welcome on stage.
Matofska, thank you so much. Thank you.
Bonjour, thank you so much for inviting me to talk about how the sharing economy is impacting business and the world at large. So I'd like to spend the next few minutes talking about a global trend, a very significant trend that is impacting all of our lives. I'm the founder of The People Who Share. I'm a global expert in the sharing economy and the founder of the upcoming Global Sharing Week that runs from the 4th to the 11th of June. So why should you care about the sharing economy? Why does this matter? Well, very simply put, the sharing economy is driving the greatest societal shift since the Industrial Revolution. And it's the biggest business trend of all time. So I'd like you to join me on a journey into the sharing economy. You don't need to bring anything with you because everything you need is already there. So what is it? Well, very simply put, the sharing economy is a system built around the sharing of human and physical resources. Think homes, jobs, goods, cars, skills. And most importantly, it's powered by the crowd. It's powered by all of us in this room and elsewhere. There are over 3.5 trillion euros of idle resources worldwide. Goods, clothes, cars, and homes. But the sharing economy is smart because it uses technology to match that resource with those who need it, helping people to access and trade these idle resources. So where's the sharing? Well, the sharing in this new economy doesn't mean that it's free. It's a hybrid economy with different forms of value exchange. Different types of sharing. And the sharing economy recognizes different kinds of value: social value, economic value, environmental value. And it's an umbrella term. It includes all of these terms. So we hear terms such as collaborative economy, gig economy, circular economy. The sharing economy is incredibly broad. It's a broad umbrella, and it encompasses all of these different facets, and that's why it's so significant. And the sharing economy promotes access over ownership. So access the things that you need, pay for what you use. You can swap, you can borrow, you can rent, you can exchange, you can share. All of these terms refer to different types of sharing. But ultimately, the sharing economy is empowering people to create, to trade, to swap, access and share goods and services between themselves. And it's growing. There are now over 10,000 different platforms, apps, and projects worldwide. And that's just the number that we've been able to capture in a global directory. And it's growing incredibly fast. It's growing faster than Facebook, Google, and Yahoo combined. It was valued by PwC at $15 billion in its first 7 years, and it continues to grow. In fact, it generated £25 billion worth of transactions in 2015. And the market is now expected and predicted to grow 20 times faster than PwC first expected when they did their initial valuation. It could add an extra £138 billion to GDP and save billions of idle resources. But it also generates social and environmental value. It creates 3 times greater impact for low-income communities. Last year, 25.8 million meals were diverted from landfill to people living in food poverty by one single social enterprise, FareShare. Car sharing reduces household emissions by 37%. And it's driven by the crowd. We know that 28% of adults are already participating worldwide, with 65% in the UK and 52% across the rest of Europe. When we look at who is sharing, we know that the early adopters, and I call this Generation Share, the people that are driving the sharing economy, we know that there are 2.68 billion millennials globally, and 73% of them say that the sharing economy is important to them. But of course, as the sharing economy heads mainstream, we know that it's starting to engage older audiences. 25% of sharing economy service providers are now over 55. Participation rates of 55-year-olds grew by 375% in 2015. And adults aged 55 to 64 choosing renting, sharing, swapping and exchanging over ownership has grown 80% in the last 12 years. So what's driving the sharing economy? What's causing this monumental trend? Well, first of all, saving and making money, the economic driver. The reason that people initiate that sharing interaction is very simply, it's an economic driver. But the reason that they return, and the reason for the growth of the sharing economy, is for the experience. And we hear this time and time again, wherever this research is conducted worldwide, that actually that experience that you have of connecting with others, that experience that gives you that money can't buy, is really what drives people to make these repeat purchases in the sharing economy and to engage in the sharing economy time and time again. But of course, sustainability and collective good is another driver. The fact that you're saving money, you're making money, you're having this unique experience, but at the same time, you're delivering some common good. When you car share, you're lowering carbon. And of course, finally, technology and innovation. Technology is creating the efficiencies that we see in the sharing economy. The ability to take these idle assets, I mentioned that 3.5 trillion euros worth of idle assets, and actually connect those idle assets with those that needs them. This is creating an efficient economy, an economy that works, that is built around people and planet. Now, of course, trust is the biggest barrier to sharing. But we know, we've seen the growth of trust tech tools to help consumers safely share with strangers. And I believe there's actually never been a better time to trust, because actually now we have the technology to verify that people are who they say they are, to transact safely with those that we don't know. We all have online reputations. The information that we're able to procure about people that we don't know has never been greater. And of course, it's impacting every sector. It's impacting, of course, the private sector, the public sector, the charity sector, and actually society at large. And when I look at what's the reason that business should care about the sharing economy? Well, think about it this way. People are no longer reliant on corporations for their products and services. Now they can trade peer-to-peer. 90% of consumers want brands to share, but only 10% are seen as sharing brands. People want and expect to be part of the process. This is crowd-driven empowering the crowd. So companies need to have what I call a collaborative advantage. The sharing economy is an opportunity for all businesses to turn idle assets, costs, into revenue. Companies that have been adopting these sharing economy practices have been shown to double their revenues within a year and also future-proof their business. So how exactly can companies participate in the sharing economy? Well, there are in fact a number of ways that this can happen. So if we look, for example, at partnerships, Marriott Hotels partnered with Liquid Space to rent unused spaces for co-working. That's a win-win situation. Spaces that are costing a hotel chain money to maintain, to upkeep, and now they've turned them into a revenue stream. Whilst at the same time, they're now providing access to entrepreneurs and startups to spaces that they need to grow their businesses. But there's also another opportunity for businesses, an incredibly important one, to involve the crowd in your products and services. So Hallmark partnered with Brit & Co. And this was a way to create products, to involve consumers, to involve people and makers in the development of their products through that partnership, and put on events like Hallmarket, reaching new and diverse audiences. And then we look at enabling peer-to-peer. Companies can also enable peer-to-peer. So for example, Swisscom partnered with Miele and Friends. And this partnership was about offering customers tech help from neighborhood experts, connecting people to get the tech help they need. A brilliant partnership enabling peer-to-peer engagement and activity, growing customer base, and growing community. And finally, another example that comes from the charity sector, the idea of building platforms. This is another way that organizations can engage in this space. Macmillan Cancer Support wanted to connect volunteers, micro-volunteers, with those living with cancer in their homes who had unmet needs. They needed tasks carrying out, those everyday mundane tasks. And so this platform, Team Up, connects volunteers to run those errands safely and securely for people living with cancer, creating societal benefit. So there are many ways that organizations can get involved in the sharing economy. But what are the corporate benefits? Let's take a look at those. Well, of course, I've already mentioned this whole notion of future-proofing companies. This is such a significant trend. And how does it do that? Because it's enabling you to be at the forefront of innovation, ensuring that sustainability and driving profitability. But it's also about increasing engagement. I've talked endlessly about the fact that this is about the crowd. How do you engage people in your products and services? Because if you don't, people are not going to be interested in those products and services. People expect to co-create. They expect to be active consumers. They expect now that crowdsourcing is the way. And there's a social effect. It's about people marketing. You involve people in your products and services, and of course they are going to do the marketing for you through their networks, recommending friends, people in their communities. But it's also about peer intelligence, because actually what you're doing by involving people in whatever it is that you're doing, you're actually capturing that collective intelligence, increasing creativity, co-designing, innovating. I've mentioned increasing diversity, but this is also about growing customer base. You reach broader audiences through which you can grow more diverse customer bases. You're engaging people, community at large, in a way that people want to recommend to others. And that actually gives you a greater market reach. But also this is about thought leadership, about being a brand of the crowd, being a leader in your sector. And of course, resource efficiency, sustainability. This is good for the planet. You're diverting goods from landfill, reusing, upcycling, car sharing, for example, creates untold benefits. Goods sharing, reuse. You're building products and services based around the sharing of these human and physical resources, benefiting the planet and society at large. So your future success is determined by how well you partner, collaborate, and share. So what's your collaborative advantage? Because you certainly need to have one. The sharing economy is the future for business and society at large. The question is, will you be part of it? I'm Benita Matofska. Thank you for sharing. Merci.
Thank you, Benita. At Benita Matofska on Twitter. Thank you
Very
so
important.
much. Thank you. Suivez-nous sur NETEXPLO également pour ceux qui nous suivent en ligne.
Now for NETEXPLO, if you're online, we have a special day tomorrow, which will be from the Les Echos newspaper website with Eric de Riedmatten. We've got around 50 French decision makers who'll be there talking about transformation with business, and Benita mentioned a bit of it there, and so you'll be able to follow that online with Les Echos tomorrow.